And wait for the YouTube to kick in. And we are live, and welcome everybody to the first broadcast of the Racing Line. Uh, Something new, something different. We're going to have a lot of fun. I got some buddies with me. Just want to get to know each other and spend some time talking about our passion, some of the weekend warrior stuff, some real world racers that sim race, and just kind of bring everybody together and sit around the campfire and have a drink and share some fun. So let me introduce and welcome my co-host, and I want to thank you guys very much for taking your time to join in and help me with this project and kick it off. Adam Thompson of Slow Motion Broadcasting takes care of our league races every Sunday. And once in a while, we kick in a Saturday race for him. So it keeps him busy. And Jason Green, our resident coach extraordinaire, the guy that does the reviews of our league races, Weekend Warrior champion. So let me toss it to you and say thank you guys for joining me and kicking this off. And Adam, let's hear tell them who you are.
Oh, you're making me go first, Stevie?
Sure.
All right. Yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Adam Thompson, obviously owner of Slow Motion Broadcasting and commentator / producer for all of the Weekend Warrior series now, Formula V's every now and then. Getting more and more into that. And obviously the Spec Racer Ford and the Formula Fords now. Also have a sim car league that we run on Thursday nights, and I also own or run a league as well on Sunday nights called Cross Series League Racing. So I stay pretty busy in the sim world, to say the least. But outside of the sim world, I'm an Air Force crew chief, Air National Guard, full time. Started that. I joined that back in 2016. No, 2014. Yeah, I'm coming up on my 10 year in September.
10 years.
So yeah, joined that back in 2014 in Terre Haute, Indiana, born and raised in Terre Haute, which is about an hour away from the racing capital of the world, Indianapolis. Yeah. Saw quite a few Brickyard races and Indy 500s and stuff like that there at Indy. Now, was never able to get up there for the GT3s, which kind of grinds my gears a little bit. Obviously, if you know anything about Formula One, they stopped going there after 2008. Yeah. So, that was But no, then I moved, decided to join the Air National Guard when I was 24, moved out to Phoenix, started in Terre Haute, and started in Intel, actually. And I was like, there ain't no way I'm doing this for the rest of my life. Moved out to Phoenix, spent 10 years in Phoenix, which is where I met my wonderful wife. And we got tired of the heat. So we moved further west and further north. And now we're living up here in Reno, Nevada. It's not much cooler up here, but we do get snow in the wintertime. So that's the only difference. So yeah, I haven't gone any further. I haven't lived any further east than Indiana, but I'm definitely making my way further and further west. And this is about as far west as we're going to go. But yeah, I've been blessed, very blessed to be able to do the things I've done, see the racing I've seen, obviously travel the world with my Air Force job. So yeah. It's been pretty cool. So that's me talking for already about 5 minutes. So, Jason, what about you?
Jason Green, also known as GG2 on YouTube. Check out my channel. Like and subscribe and all that.
He's already an expert at this stuff.
But yeah, I started out with the Weekend Warriors and the Formula V's about 2 years ago or so. Had a horrible first race. Made the broadcast for all the wrong reasons. Somehow stuck around. Eventually moved up to the SRFs, and even though it wasn't my favorite car to drive at the time, the community around the Weekend Warriors has just been it's been an experience. It's unlike any other community I've been a part of. Just the diversity of people, the positivity in general, positivity around everybody, and the willingness to to work with each other, discuss things, and learn from each other has been incredible. So I've stuck around ever since.
It's been a great attitude. You've really helped and done a lot for the community, and continuing it here. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's why I jumped at the mention or your suggestion to do this because like I said, I absolutely love the community that we have, and the more we can do to draw attention to it and and discuss it, the better, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. Thanks. And I got to say to Adam, it's great to have an Air Force brother on the broadcast.
Yeah. I obviously see all the stuff going on back there behind you, Stevie, and
Yeah.
we've obviously talked a little bit about it. And
Yep.
you and I don't come from that different backgrounds. I'm
No.
obviously a crew chief, and you were an avionics troop, so we worked
Avionics and flight simulators. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So we worked hand in hand,
Yep.
and I'm sure you probably yelled at people like me, and I know I've yelled at people like you when it comes to turning wrenches. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome. So we want to break up these podcasts into about 3 segments, and we're going to kick it off every week with a review of the league races that just happened, and share some highlights, some lowlights, and let the guys talk you through that. And then we'll do a review or a preview of next week's races. And after that, then we're going to have a guest come in, the one that I teased, and we're going to have a 4th chair and invite somebody to come in, and so we can tackle them and critique them or do whatever we can with them and have some fun. So I'm going to kick it back to Jason and Adam to go over last week's races.
Absolutely, Jason. So obviously, I'm going to let you start out. Are we starting out with the FVs here?
Yes, sir, we are.
Oh boy,
We've got Ron and Tim on the call for this one.
Yep.
Field is about to
Let's
grab
kick
the
it
green
off.
in just a few moments on. The Porsche pace car has
So
made
the
the turn
Formula
to
Vs
come
are
down
Brands
pit lane.
hats
The
this
field is
week.
now back in the hands of Thortulo, who's going to be leading them to green in this 30-minute race, waiting for the green flag to come out, which it has now. The drivers are now on their way, barreling their way into turn number 1. We mentioned earlier on, it's going to be a challenge for all of these cars, especially on lap number 1. Everyone wants to lead here. Who is going to get that job done? Rodriguez with a pretty aggressive start. He is going.
That is amazing watching all those cars.
Montgomery, who's looking to try and get some moves done. Jim Brewster and Michelle Lynn nearly going side by side, heading through turn number 2 to kick off this race. But up and down the field with some rally action for Michelle Lynn coming out of the hairpin of turn number 2. It's Thortulo leading it. Rodriguez in P2
Love
and
the clean
Montgomery
starts.
in a P3.
Mhm.
It's a position
Not as
lost. It's
exciting for
gone
the
to Aldi
broadcast, but,
Gassis and David
Yeah, it
Gerard.
just looks so cool with
They're
that many
both down
cars going through
Only
clean turn
2
1.
spots each.
Absolutely, it does.
Even so far as I say that,
It's a pretty small group for the Weekend
for
Warriors
a
too.
bit of a move up
Mhm.
the inside,
I
Ron
noticed
on
only
Lynn.
17, but,
Can he
I
make
mean,
it stick?
That's really all you need.
As they head out through
Yeah.
Druids, I
It's a
think
good
that's
group.
going to be the move done.
Maybe trying
Yeah,
to
it
save
was a
up a
good
run
group.
heading into turn number 2 in the 5th lap of this race. Love feeling really racy right now. And from what we've seen thus far, Tim, I feel like turn number 2 is proving itself to be a
Oh,
pretty good
incident behind,
overtaking
incident
opportunity for
behind.
these drivers.
Grider
Oops.
caught up in it, I know for definite. I think it was Michelle Lynn, the biggest loser. Yeah, there you go. Still on the grass,
Yeah.
Ron. It's all gone wrong for her.
She was kicking
Let's take
herself.
a look at the replay, see if I can
Yeah.
tell us exactly how this all unfolded. And there you go.
Easily done
too
in
much
the
Jesus,
mustard
lost
on it.
herself,
And she
huh?
headed
Yep.
through Druids and then up against the barrier, trying to get it pointing in the right direction. And what looked like was going to be a really promising afternoon for her, as now, well, it's means she's been demoted
Watch
all the way
this.
down
This
to
gets a
14th
little
place.
spicy.
And that's a bit of a roadblock in front of her. That's Gary Warbolt on the right. Nick Turner on the left. Hello, can we make a 2-for-1 deal here up the inside? Thinks
Send
about it. Has to back out of it, though. That could have been very, very, well, another instant
I mean, she made the move, though. She
moment
got past
for
one
her.
of them.
Montgomery
Mhm.
as well
Yeah.
set the fastest lap of the race not very long ago. Got that move done on Rodriguez. But right as I say that, the commentators jinx he runs wide coming out of turn number 8, and that's going to cost him a spot on Love and Brewster. It actually cost him 2 positions. So right as I was going to praise Montgomery, saying that he has a fast race car, he has some small little mistake that's going to drop him down the running order. Love and Brewster, meanwhile, they have been in the tow, and they've seen all these drivers try and do their own maneuvers. They definitely have something cooking behind the wheel of those FV race cars as Montgomery gets that move done to get back in front of Andrew Love. But for the drivers behind this man, Thortulo, they're trying to find a weakness at this point. He's extending that gap yet again in front
is
of
quick.
Jesus Rodriguez.
He really is.
I feel like the favorite probably coming into the dying stages of this race is probably going to be Tulo, as Rodriguez and Brewster going side by side heading into turn number 1. I think Brewster is going to get that move done on him. Yes, he does. Very nicely played from Brewster, and Montgomery looking to try and get a move done on Rodriguez as well. They're going to be side by side heading through the hairpin of turn number 2. Rodriguez running out a little bit into the dirt. However, he has that inside line heading into 3, but Montgomery gets the move done, running off into the dirt as well.
Let's have a look. There's no white flags. So we're going another lap here, Ron. How many of these drivers out here have calculated and allowed for that? I'm not sure. We're about to find out who's got enough fuel on board.
That is going to throw a huge wrench in the works in this fight, as Rodriguez trying to get the move done on Montgomery to slip his way back up into the podium positions. Well done from Andrew Love as well to catch up that 1 second gap. But side by side yet again, heading into turn number 3, Jesus Rodriguez going to lose out on that battle with himself and Montgomery, and going to lose out on another spot with Love now going side by side with him. Love actually trying to get the 2-for-1 deal, and you can see Rodriguez going for an aggressive move back on Montgomery. That was some bold stuff from the championship leader behind the wheel of that 76 car. However, in that hard battling, they have completely lost touch of Tulo and Brewster a little bit farther up the road.
Tulo's broken the draft in that 27.
Yeah, Thor
this could become a dogfight.
Yeah,
I think
actually more of a street fight. So who is going to finish third?
Love is going to hold on to that spot coming onto the back straightaway for the final time. He really needs to maximize his run going onto this back flat out blast. Otherwise, he may get shuffled out of that P3 spot. Here comes Montgomery and Rodriguez. Is any of these drivers going to try and get a move done? Yes, you can see maybe trying to make it 3 wide. No, not yet. Rodriguez trying to get that move done on Love, and Montgomery looking to shuffle him back as well. Montgomery not able to clear Love heading into turn number 5. They're going to be side by side through 6. One of these drivers is going to have to back out, but neither of them do. Love running all the way out to the gravel on corner exit. These drivers are racing these cars as hard as they possibly can, but it's looking good for Jesus Rodriguez to round out your podium in third. Actually, no, I see that. Love maybe trying to sneak a wheel down the outside, heading through turn at number 8 and making contact as well. We got a beautiful view inside of Love's cockpit heading through turn number 8. It looks like that is going to stay line astern, but meanwhile, at the north end of the field, Thor Tulo in a dominating performance here from the Formula V Weekend Warrior Championship is going to end up winning it, but the fight between Rodriguez and Love, those two were nearly banging wheels coming to the line. It's going to be a photo finish between the two of them, and it looks like it's going to be Jesus Rodriguez winning it. 0.037 of a second separating Rodriguez and Love after over 30 minutes of racing action. We always expect photo finishes from the Weekend Warriors series, and we definitely got one here in the Formula V's. Montgomery right behind in 5th, but this man Thor Tulo taking a dominating victory.
So yeah,
right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've noticed about the Formula V's are the I mean, from what I've seen, obviously I haven't broadcasted one, but it seems clean. I don't know if what those V's are obviously a little bit lower powered, right, than those Formula Fords. So
Yeah.
I think that probably helps, but they keep them clean. And Thor Tulo, my goodness, he is quick. Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, there's the points for the current.
So Thor obviously came in late, I think.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
showing right here the number of races.
Now your drop weeks, obviously. So yeah, top races counted 8, races counted 7, 4. Yeah, 4 races for Thor. So yeah, I mean did
4 races, 2 wins.
How tough? Yeah, I know. How tough is that to? I mean, really kind of figure out, because you guys drop what, 4 weeks?
3.
3. I mean, so it's really actually tough to see who's actually in the lead, I think, until you get towards the end of the season.
Pretty much.
Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody's consistently running up front, you can figure 90 to 100 points a week.
Right.
So if you add 4 times 90 is 380 onto that, it puts him right up in between Alan and Jesus.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a battle there at the end. And obviously slow motion broadcasting covering week 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, super excited about that one.
See
for
how,
sure in the
how
S1.
it finals out. All right, let me slide her down here to, there's the Spec 2 class.
Now, how much does that? I mean, Michelle Lynn, obviously, 571 to 548. Gary is actually a lot closer than I thought he was, but Gary did finish ahead of her this race, right?
Yeah, because she spun.
Yeah, I think there's going to be another battle right there. My gosh, but I see it 548 to 421, so it's going to be a battle between Michelle and Gary down the stretch here, definitely.
Yeah, it's 2-horse right now, but Jason's only got 7 races too, so
Right.
add 80 points, it's still going to be about 500 or so.
Yeah,
He's still in it.
He's still, but yeah, he's got some work to do.
Yeah, Michelle's a really good driver as well, so Gary will have to send it a little bit to stay with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's man, that's going to be a good one to say the least. It's a shame. Obviously, you can't cover them all, and I know that. But yeah, a few of these Formula V races that we've covered, they have not disappointed, especially with the racing. I mean, it's obviously there are some sendable moments in those cars, and we saw how that worked out for Michelle at least.
Yeah, they always provide some of the best, closest racing and there is. Even in the real world, they're kind of known for that. So, all right, so you guys want to go on with the Formula
CFFs, you want to do one more here? Yeah, I'm down.
Yep. So Formula Fords were at Hockenheim this week, and that was I was skeptical. I was skeptical before I started practicing the track, but it actually turned out that it was a lot of fun in this car.
I was excited.
Daniel, I'm going to give it to you for the call.
Because I was thinking, Formula One great track.
But it looks like
these
James
cars aren't
Barry
that
is going to be there.
fast,
He's going to have
and
the
it's a huge
control
long
of when the
straight,
start goes. Looks like he's primed and ready. A lot of red cars at the front, very popular. The lights are going, and they are off, and he is absolutely on the way. He's going, and he goes and cuts across, defending turn 1, as you see there. Joe Manny right behind him, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, Kabanga right behind him.
Don't mind the paint jobs. They update eventually, I
see a little bit of a run there on the side at the back, but so far, very quickly into single file. Actually, Manny, I think I've raced before as well. I recognize him there. A little bit of a lockup. Somebody's just gone wide. Gonzaga there. That's a very classy racing team. I believe that's a Portuguese driver. He's there in 7th, and it looks like it's very, very clean so far. No major accidents to report. Let's take a quick look at this replay from the 810 of Fabian Singer. They're going down around the outside, and that looked like a little bit of a nudge. Oh, yeah, that's nudging. It looks like Brewster got caught in that, and basically just completely flipped off the track. The racing line was gone.
But anyways, we do have another overtake, maybe for the lead. Barry back onto the inside, going into the hairpin here. Is he going to be able to get it done? Looks like we got another move here. Christian Kabenka on Jorg Money as well. Everything's popping off at the hairpin at this point.
Yeah.
Well, definitely the slipstream is a huge thing. You can see there the field has started to spread out into a couple of different tracks. So as I have a look through the timing, first 7 cars, they're all pretty close together. And then there's a little bit of a gap around 7 with David Ford. But actually, who's parked off there? That's a little bit of a whoops.
Let's see what happened here to Simon Ball going up the inside of, it looks like Antonio Reese, maybe. Is there? Oh, he just loses the rear end of the car. That's unfortunate for Simon. Well, I'm not going to say the other word, but yeah, it's 96 degrees, and that is pretty warm, especially for these cars. As we've got a battle, it's going to go 3 wide into turn
Simon had a
turn
tough day.
3, I believe, and it looks like James Barry overtakes both Masters drivers to get that lead back. Now they're 2 by 2.
And then
well, I personally think that Jason Green in the 160 car has got the best seat at the minute, because these guys, they are definitely going hard at it. And I think he's actually playing it pretty smart at this point. Sure, he could try and force the issue and go 3 wide, but if I was him, I would stay way back out of that battle, just try and stay on the tail end and potentially try and save some fuel and make up some ground during the closing stages of the race.
Chris Montgomery, a field of very angry, but sound like bees probably coming towards him right now, and they're all slipstreaming, all staying in line. Jesus Rodriguez there in 8th position with Joshua Wilkie still
had,
in
like,
touching
2
distance
spins
of
this
that
race,
S2
so
win.
It wasn't my best race either.
Well, it's definitely a close battle, and you can see here it's exactly as
Yeah,
we
it's a
predicted.
very,
You
very
know,
challenging
once the
track.
field starts to spread out, you end up with these own little clumps of tracks. You see one of the cars
Pretty
going
much
a
from this
little
part
bit
of the
wide
lap
there, but able
forward.
to hold on. That is definitely going to sacrifice his exit speed on the corner, and that's the 76 of Jesus
This is the Spec
Rodriguez.
2
So
battle.
that's opening him up to Chris Montgomery, who's there. Definitely applying pressure, but it looks like someone's going around the outside. Is that Wilkie trying to make a move? Defended there by Montgomery. He wasn't having any of that.
That was impressive stuff. And this is not a position where Montgomery wants to be, trying to overtake and getting overtaken. Wilkie going to try it again. Montgomery goes for a little bit of a block there, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. Wilkie trying to take the lead in the S2 class. Is he going to be able to get it done? He does not get the run with Montgomery on the outside. He's going to have to live to fight another day, as
Well
we've got a
defended by
battle
Chris.
with
Yes.
Cathcart and Adrian right behind them.
Good
Side,
good
and
car
these things
placement.
are not GT3s or F1s or any other cars. They've got, I don't even know, I think the 1600 stands for 1600 cc motors.
to you, Adam,
So they do
for,
not have the speed or the
covering
power
the
out of
Spec
corners
2,
that you would
Spec 2
expect
race.
a Formula
yeah.
One-ish looking car to have.
It was really
So
well
this is
done,
very,
split between,
very
the leaders and Spec 2.
momentum dependent,
they had a
kind of
really
like your
good battle.
Miatas or your
Yeah,
Spec
they
Racer
did. I mean,
Fords.
there were clumps of cars.
Oh, 100%. And I do actually know a couple of guys who they've got
no.
to. Oh, uh-oh. Ouch.
Brad.
That's not good. Who around it was
That's
it's like
not good.
Cathcart and
Oh.
Adrian got into a bit of a tussle there.
It does appear that Cathcart's car is now at this point mechanically challenged. It does appear that the right front wheel may have left the chat. But let's take a quick replay here. You
left
see the
front wheel may
Australian
have
driver
left the
905. He's ahead
That
right
was
now.
pretty good.
You see the 10 car trying to make a move on the inside. Have they just got a little bit
sloppy.
too
Yeah,
oh,
really
no,
challenged.
a little bit of a wiggle. I'd say that's probably a little bit of net code as well, and a little bit
Super
of maybe
unlucky
not
for
leaving
It
for
is.
Brad to
quite
get
enough
that damage,
space. There's
though.
a right
Yeah.
front wheel there. That pops off, and that ends
that
his
was too
race with
bad.
Brad Cathcart.
Or Jurg Money, who may have the best paint job, I think, in the field.
I have to
I'm
mention
just trying to
Jurg's
work
paint
out what's
job
paint
every
is. It's
week.
the orange
Every
one with the
week.
bright colors. And there we go. They're all
There used to be
absolutely,
about
I say all
three
a
of them,
good
3 or 4 of them that had that
fighting
paint.
into the pit. So George Manny,
least
he
four.
snuck
Might
in.
have had
I'm trying to work
five.
out who's
Jason
ahead
did for
of
a
him.
while.
Antonio Reese has kept going.
And we
It
had,
looks like
same
Jason
team
Green
with
has
different
kept
colors.
going as well. So it looks like Kabanga, Barry,
Yeah,
and
Antonio,
George
did
Manny,
the paint.
those three have all
Yeah.
got in the pits now. And it's going to be a race off the line, I guess. And ironically, all next to each other as well. This is going to be
This
beautiful
rarely
carnage.
Yeah, this could get very, very interesting on pit exit. Let's see who gets out first. We will stay on this battle for just a minute because this could
Antonio's pit
And
stops are insane.
in a bit of carnage. It looks like, oh my goodness, Kubenka
he's gotten
out
better
very,
on it,
very late
'cause
compared to James
usually,
Berry, already out of the pits.
Usually
Jurg
he's
Money,
pretty slow in the
very,
pits.
very
And
slow
then-
in
and then
his
Monty.
pit stop as well.
But,
Look at the
the
gap
past
now
couple weeks,
between those three
especially
drivers.
Antonio's been
James
nailing it.
Berry, who is going to be the overall leader of this race now, coming around
taking some
the
lessons
final
from you,
corner
Jason,
down the
on
front
that.
I
stretch.
guess,
Doesn't even
yeah.
look like Jason Green is still actually stationary. He's just now getting out. Let's see where he comes out in relation to the rest of these drivers. There goes Berry. There goes Kubenka. Where is Reese? There's Reese. It looks like Green might still be in the battle here.
That was an absolutely fantastic pit stop. The lane time, as I have a look,
Yeah, that was good. That kept you in
32.5.
the
So
fight.
he did pretty well to get
Yeah,
out there. I was
almost.
not expecting that much from him.
Yeah.
In all fairness,
I,
looking at the timing screen, but Antonio Reese is
I kinda
really,
pushed it on
really
the- on
hot
my
on the
end lap. I was
backside of
actually
Jason
sputtering
Green
down
there.
the
If he
pit
gets any closer, he's going
And
to be
I
able
think
to tell
that
him
cost me just
exactly
enough
what he
time
had
not
for
to be in
lunch.
their
But
draft.
Green handling the pressure very, very well at this point.
Yep, Green is going to maybe just going to let Antonio Reese go here. They don't need to be battling. As you
No,
can
he
see, the
won't.
drivers up front
he
are
won't.
not battling. Barry
We're gonna
still
race.
sitting fine, and they are going to battle into
I didn't
turn
fight him too hard, but I didn't
number
lift either.
6, I believe. So, yeah, this is not going to be going well for Antonio Reese or Jason Green if they're trying to get back up to the pack.
This is a battle for the race
Antonio's
lead. James
quick,
Barry,
so
he's currently
I thought
2
he
tenths of a
might,
second
we might be
ahead
able to
of
catch
Christian
up to him.
Kabanga. As we look back now as well, Jurg Money, he's managed to catch up a little bit onto Jason Green. So right now we're going to have a free
This
car
is not
battle
my best
between, where's it gone?
Oh, I know.
Antonio Rice, Jason Green, and Jurg Money, 4 tenths per second and 5 tenths per second, respectively. So this could be the battle that Antonio Rice was not looking for at this point. As my colleague has yet again gone silent. I think his
My
mute button is.
goodness, I got to stop doing that. Yeah, he does. Oh, no! Oh,
Ouch.
Ouch.
Oh, Jason.
no! Well, there's Jurg Money's
Yeah, lost
Masters
concentration.
hopes just kind of diminished there. Let's see
Downshifted
what
too
happened. It
late.
almost
As soon
looked
as I
like
downshifted to second, the car just spun.
Green walked up. Let's see it from the in-car here. It looks like Green had a bit of a lock up
We were
going
both
into the
super
final
lucky
corner
not to
and
get
just
damaged. I don't
left
know how.
Ronnie nowhere to
With
go.
this car on top of mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a little bit of an over rotation, and
and
nothing
there
he
goes
could do,
Monty.
completely accidental. And it's fair to say that it didn't work out very well for Money at all. He's dropped back pretty heavily at this
Yeah, it
point.
didn't
Actually,
look
I'm
like
trying
he
to
got
find it.
damaged
Yeah,
or
he's all the way
penalty.
back in 23rd now,
I
so
guess
that
he
is
decided to park after
definitely
that,
not what he was hoping
unfortunately.
for. Looking for the white flag at this point, as Adam was saying, going to be on the left of your screen, and I lost him. There he is in the background.
We found him. White flag lap. Here we go. Kabeka versus Barry. Where does Kabeka try to make the move? I would assume it's coming up very, very shortly into the hairpin there, which I know there's an actual name for it, but into the hairpin. We're going to see when Kabeka decides to do it. Does he decide to leave it late, or does he try to get the move done early? Going to catch the slipstream here. Closing. Probably going to dip out right, but Barry might see that one coming and block the inside line. No, he doesn't. He lets Barry go, or he lets Kabenka go to the inside. Kabenka is going to get the move done. Now Barry on the attack for the last half a lap here. It doesn't look like Barry's going to let this one go, actually. Battling, trying to go over, under, makes Kabenka go in deep. Now Barry's going to have the drive out of the corner.
That was definitely intentional as they went through Spitzkehre, and they're going to heading down. They're going to have about a 30-degree right-hander next. You see there, almost side by side. This is going to be followed by a 90-degree left. Very, very tight turn. These guys almost touching at that point. They're around there, heading into the closing stages of the track. Not quite there yet. Heading through what I'm calling the horseshoe, but let's not get into my drawing skills at this point. Nothing but clear track ahead of them at this point, so no one should be able to interfere in that battle. Side by side, nearly had contact there. That's going to put Kabanka on the inside for this next hairpin. This could be what decides it, and he's gone right on the outside, actually, trying to cover off the car. I do wonder if Barry is going to be close enough to potentially slipstream. They've got 2 corners left to go. This penultimate one now. Barry right up close, 0.3 of a second. I'm not sure it's going to be close enough. 0.2 of a second. He's got to keep his foot on that loud pedal. Catches a little bit of a curve, but has Kabanga done it? Barry going to the inside, and Kabanga gets it.
Super close
that is
race.
Great driving, Kabanga. Put his car to the outside of that corner to try to squeeze Barry, to try to squeeze Barry down, and he did exactly that. Did not allow Barry to drive off the corner. Kabenka with the win. Now, Antonio Reese does come home in the Masters class. Trace Montgomery going to be your Spec 2 winner as well, followed by Dana Bowes, and then Joshua Wilkie with a slow pit stop. Unfortunately for Joshua, was not able to get back into the fight, but he is battling right now with Bill Walker. It looks like Joshua Wilkie maybe out of fuel. He's going to lose 2 positions going down the line.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear, definitely needed a little bit more of a generous serving, and he's in the pits. Sorry, sir, I'll take a double, not a single on that.
So we thought he was out of fuel, but he said he actually did have an incident, and he started to sputter across the line, so he probably just blew his engine up.
Yeah, because he had to use more fuel accelerating after the spin. So if he hadn't had the spin, he would have been fine on fuel, unfortunately. So unlucky for him, but
yeah. All right, let's see if I can get you some points up here. And these are going to be a little different from the last one. I apologize, but this is what we got this week, and we'll see if we can get something better graphics for next time. But there you go. There's the Spec 1.
Yeah, James has been on it all season. I think his worst race might have been the first week, when it was raining. I think it was raining at Owen Park.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty every other race since then he's just been on it.
You're not far off, though. I mean, that's the thing. No. You're only 18 points off, so that's not. That's.
I have no idea how, to be honest. Like, I'm not even in the same league as James. So
him and Christian.
Yeah, Christian doesn't have.
Let's see,
he's missed a couple races so far, so he's a little further down.
There he is in 7th, 383 with. He's missed a couple. I can't see my number of races but
so yeah, Christian, if he gets the whole 9 in, then he'll shoot up the rankings.
Yep.
Megan is also, when she's been here, she's had a strong season so far.
yeah.
So
You and her have
Um,
some battles on track.
oh
For
yeah,
sure.
love racing Megan. Yeah, super clean driver. I don't think she's ever taken me out, but I might have taken her out a couple of times on accident. But yeah, it's always fun racing her. I think the very first season that we did the Formula Fords, it was it came down to like me and her for the championship for like in like 3,000ths of a second.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
last race
Road
at Road
America.
America.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Got
they
super
crossed the
lucky.
line and it was whoever won was going to get the championship.
Mhm.
3,000ths of a second gave you the
That's crazy.
championship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super lucky to take that away from her.
And let's get down to spec 2. There we go. David Foy at
He's
top
quick.
of the charts.
He's been strong this season. He was very quick yesterday. Didn't have the best of starts because I ran him off the road a little bit at turn 1. Yeah. But yeah, he's been really quick this season. Josh Wilkie as well. He's in 4th right now, but
Yeah, he's coming along good.
mhm,
Let's
just
see if
needs
I
to
can
get the
it
consistency
scroll.
down. Bill as well. He's also
Yep.
been
Yeah.
pretty quick this
Yeah.
season.
Yep. Peter's missed a few of them. So,
Mhm.
all right. And we got the Masters class in this group. So, Formula V, we didn't quite have enough really to set a 3rd class for the Masters. So, we only had spec 1 and 2 for them. But Formula Fords and the SRFs, we do have the Masters, the old guys. Old, but
Oh,
not
this-
slow. Is that what you call us?
Yeah, old but not slow.
Yeah.
But no, this is the battle that I've kept my eye on all season long, and it's between Reese and Monty. I don't know. Obviously, Monty didn't have a great race. So, excuse me.
I mean,
sorry.
he crashed into
Sorry,
me.
got
He
something
crashed
in my
into me,
throat.
so
But yeah, but no, obviously there were wasn't the best, but man, it's him and Antonio, both SRFs and Formula Fords. They're just they're quick. They're
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
very quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Bruce is
Antonio-
not too far behind. He's hanging tight.
Yep, Cathcart's another quick one too. I mean, all of these Masters drivers are quick. They really are.
Yeah, then you get somewhere down there in the bottom.
Hey, there he is. There's the man.
Yeah, some old guy hadn't been around too many times. Hadn't been able to be real consistent being there for either league this season.
Right.
So you-
Trust me, I know
Summertime
how that goes.
and real stuff gets in the way, but
Yep.
I think you've had a couple of good finishes this season
Yeah.
so far, though, Stevie.
There was at one
last
point-
season super unlucky.
It may have been Daytona, Stevie. There was
Yeah.
one point when you were
Mhm.
leading that Masters. You were almost leading the race at
Mhm.
one point.
Yeah, I got lucky. So, all right. Well, we can move this along and get spec Fords in there, and then we got a
Mhm.
guest waiting in the green room.
All right.
So SRFs are at the Classic of Okayama. Got
Pace car
Adam
is off
and
though,
Dan on the
Daniel. I'm
call
going to give it
again.
to you.
All right, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic to go around. Ironically, last corner. Now, Maurizio is in a very good position here. He's going to get to defend that inside line, and
This
it
is a
looks like he's
stacked
holding
grid
back
at
the
the top of
start.
the field.
He's not going to want to get
Yeah.
an excuse.
He
to drive
waited.
Jan into turn 1, which is going to be the hairpin corner, ironically called. And it looks like that green. Go. And he is off. And you can already see there they're trying to get into single file. Roseborough, he tucks in straight behind him with Dudu Cashew right behind him in 3rd. It looks like everything is clean so far. As I say that, they're making it round turn 1. The 46 car. Who's that now? That's Alice Claver. He's there trying to make a bit of a move. You see Christian Carbana back there. In some places, 3 wide,
Usually
almost
right there
4 wide
where
in
the
scenarios, but everything's clean so
I'm up
far.
on turn 2.
And definitely the cameraman there needing a change of shorts. Thank God for remotes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that cameraman got a little bit too close to the track, and he's probably going to stay that close because he's trying to make his money. Oh, my goodness, Joshua Justice gets very, very close to the back of Tom Gradwell. Everyone gets through that one clean.
As I say that, Felix Simoes is already, by some miracle, up 10 positions.
Where did that come from?
I'm wondering if he's got a magic carpet underneath that
There
spec
was
racer
some
Ford, but
shenanigans at the
definitely
start,
looking pretty
but,
good for him.
yeah,
As I say
Felix-
that as well,
Felix is
Jason
an
Perry too.
amazingly
He's
quick
up 10
driver. He's
positions.
a-
Felix
he's
up
alien
11
Oh, no.
positions.
Although that wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
That was.
Yep,
Yeah,
That's
is-
Joshua.
That's Joshua Justice. I didn't think three
That was
into one will never work
was like
there. Everyone
4
gets
into
through
1.
clean enough, and that's the
Yeah.
great part
Could have been
about
a
these
way worse
cars
than
is they
that,
can
but,
keep on driving, and not like the Formula Fords where somebody would have lost a wheel in that tangle up there.
In that
Josh
draft of
Justice
Nazelli
has
there,
a
the
real-world
44 car
spec
leading the
racing
race right now.
Ford
He's got a
I've
Les
seen
Flavor
that.
right behind him, just 0.3 of a second, and then a slight reprieve there before Brandon Roseborough gets in fourth. But obviously, our
I actually
seasoned
got to
gentleman
meet
there,
him here
Antonio
in
Reese,
Texas
is there in
for
fifth.
a couple
Again,
races.
as I say that, Antonio
wow.
Reese, he's just made the move. He's made it past Roseborough.
He has. Roseborough still falling back. This is impressive to see Roseborough losing this many positions so quickly, down
Yeah,
3
Brandon
now.
was struggling a
Don't
little
quite
bit
know
with
what's
the,
going on,
with
but
the
no,
tires
don't
at the
look now
beginning.
because the Lace Plava on the inside of Dudu Castro.
That was
What
a
a
move and
move.
a
There was
half.
no room to get
Alish-
that done.
Alish has no
Yeah.
fear.
Plava going for the move on
no fear
Castro.
when sending it.
Yeah, Les Play was definitely showing a bit of an aggression here. And I got to say, I like his driving. It's clean, but he's getting the job done. But he's going to be victim to the slipstream at this point. Is
Yep, he
anybody
will
going to
send
try
it
and
in
force
a
it free
heartbeat.
wide? It looks
Yeah.
like Antonio
And
Reese
usually
is thinking
he's
about
taking
it.
it, sending
Free
it in.
wide.
Now.
It looks like Roseborough was trying to find an extra spot as well as
It's
Reese
that
sends
was
it
a very
down the
un-Antonio
inside.
move.
Gets by
Goodness.
Flavor. And it looks like
Yeah.
Castro was able to emerge out of that
Antonio
victorious as well.
usually is a
Riccio
little
Nazelli
more,
still in the lead and still holding
a
that
little
gap to
more
Dudu
safe
Castro,
and
who
conservative than
impressively,
that.
with
That
a
was a
little bit
great
of that
move.
damage, is still hanging on to second place.
Well, that is the part of being able to draft there, and Adam. It definitely has a benefit to it. It looks like Aless is going to try and make a
Every
move
lap.
on the outside,
Every
which
lap
really,
is like
I
this.
got to be honest, not the best strategy because you're going to be on the
just like
inside
the
for the next
Formula
corner. But I
Fords
don't
were.
know if you're quite going to get there. There's a little bit of a lock up there
Oh,
from the
my
46
goodness.
car. He's gone deep.
Whoa. I don't know how everybody was able to get through that. That could have
Me
been
either.
absolute tears for that front runner.
If
Everybody
you have
locked
too
up.
much of that sideways angle, imagine that you're basically like dragging your foot sideways as you walk, and that will not only cause excessive tire heat, but it will also slow you down. You know, you're basically dragging that wheel
He's
along
trying
the
to explain
asphalt.
toe right now, and
Yep,
it is the
you
funniest
are.
thing I've ever heard.
No, that's not going to help
Ooh.
at all, as that is massive contact with Brad
Not
Cathcart,
the
I
best
believe. Looks like
moment
Cathcart
for
locked
Josh
up
there.
just a little bit there and just caused massive issues. Now Joshua, if he didn't have a toe issue, he might now. It is. If you get it. Well, it might be hilarious banter, but it could turn into some not so hilarious banter depending on
End
what
of
you
the
do to
race
the other
there by
cars.
Brandon.
Antonio Reese now in the pits. I'm sorry, that's Roseborough in the pits.
Yeah, he's choosing to take the early pit, which is actually quite surprising. But you know what? If you're at the front of that train, that could actually make sense. You do not want to be the guy pulling the other drivers through. In some ways, you are better to take the pit and see if you can reappear behind them. With about 15 minutes left to go of this race.
Now, keep an eye on
we were
Dudu
going really
Castro,
slow at the
still
front.
sitting in the pits. That red dot you can see transparent on the front
All the
straight.
battling. Felix.
So it's definitely going to be close. I do wonder if the strategy has paid off for him. And certainly, Les
Jeez.
Flavor is right behind him. He'll be somebody who's looking to capitalize
You
on
see
that
him in
as
the
well. You
background
see there a battle going on ahead of him. But whereabouts is Dudu Castro? It looks like he's already out the pits, but he's going to be slow on the exit. And he's got these guys ahead of him, but only just. Is it going to be enough for him to hold on?
With Plava and Roseborough, all they need is to make a little bit of contact, and Samoa's is sitting in a very, very nice spot.
Where did he come
Yeah, he
from?
definitely is. I mean, he's currently
22
2 seconds back, so he's going to need a pretty substantial incident for him to be able to take that top spot. But I've got to say as well, Antonio Rice is applying, Antonio Reese is applying pressure to the 44 car of Maurizio Nazelli. And Maurizio, he started well. He started on pole, in fact, and, not being able to quite have the same kind of pace in the closing stages. As Antonio Reese there, he's got the move done on the inside, and Nazelli tucks in right behind him. Jason Green having a little bit of a sniff as well. Wondering,
Something has happened. Maybe a massive off track here. I don't know exactly. We got an off track from Plava. That's going to give a chance now to Samoa's to catch Plava. It looks like Roseborough's just been gifted a win as long as he doesn't have any off tracks or any types of issues. Roseborough's just got to coast it now to the line. I did not see this coming. Let's go back and see what happened to Plava very quickly before we get to the final lap.
As you can see here, he's gone for a move on the inside as they head down towards hairpin corner.
So
and I'm going to guess he locked
No
up.
fear, send it.
Ooh, no lockup, but he definitely went in a little
Lost
bit
track
hot.
of
And
the
I got to
brake
say,
marker.
that was great car control to recover from that. It definitely could have been a lot worse.
We need to talk about Joshua Wilkie, someone we haven't talked about. You can see that car is fixed now. I was giving him all kinds of crap and wondering why he hadn't gone in to get that car fixed. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm up here. Joshua Wilkie about to take the Spec 2 win.
we're going to be on the last lap right now, and this is your race leader right now, Brandon Roseborough. He's currently ahead, got about a 1.5 second gap. Les Pleber right behind him. And then it looks like that gap has come down a little bit from about 9 tenths per second to about 6 tenths per second. But I don't know if Felix Simoes is going to be able to do it. He has run out of real estate. The clock being the victor in this scenario. But I've got to say, up 22 positions.
And by Brandon as well.
Fantastic job. Driver of the day for me.
Unbelievable drive by Felix Simoes. Brandon Roseborough does come home as the winner with Pleva in second, Simoes in third, Rodriguez in fourth with Antonio Reese
for Brandon,
trying to fend off a very hungry Mauricio
week.
Nazelli. He does get that move done, though.
So, yeah, another wild week for the SRFs.
Yep.
I mean, the past few weeks in the SRFs have been just let me
Welcome
tell
to the
you
Weekend Warriors, Adam. It's like that.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Get ready for Zandvoort. I guess
I know.
that's a good segue, I think.
So imagine coming out of that, right? Coming out of those races, okay? Obviously, Stevie, you know a little bit about what's been going on. So imagine coming out of my room and going in to see my wife when I'm just pumped up on the SRFs after watching that. And then I see all of this going on, and I was like, I thought I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just, there was so much adrenaline. I mean, that's why we do it. This is why I love to do things like that. It's just, I'm never going to be as fast as you guys, but just to watch the racing and just, it's a spectacle to watch. I don't care if it's virtual or not. It is unbelievable racing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We've got some of the best sim racers and not even season after season, the year after year, they just keep doing the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Let me pop up the points real quick, and then we do a real quick preview, and hopefully we won't lose our guest waiting in the green room. So here you go. Here's let's see, share. There you go. Look
hey, who's
on
that
top.
guy?
Look who's on top.
Yeah, but the drop weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Dudu, even though he's only at 471, that's super misleading right now. So, he still has plenty of time to. Dudu can easily win the rest of the races. So, he's also he was super strong at Zandvoort last season as well. So, watch out for him this weekend. Alish, as you can see, they both of them were way quicker than me last on Sunday. So, Dan Wood also having a great season.
Yeah,
he's somebody that's been improving a lot past couple seasons.
I mean, a lot of these drivers you see up here in these top part of the points, we don't really cover that much. The sleepers, obviously, and this is especially with drop weeks, consistency is pretty much the name of the game here.
Yeah. All right, let's see if I can get down to the Spec 2 class, and there we go.
I think, Russ still holding on to it.
Yep.
And then Andrew in a close battle.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Wilkie's coming on strong though.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his legs under him now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So same with the Formula 4, just needs a little more consistency.
Yeah.
Especially for Spec 2, that's the name of the game. This one's a little closer to the Masters.
Insane. Yeah, I try to get a rivalry started up every time one of those two get into the booth, and they never want to bite. But one of these days,
yeah, no, Antonio and Monty, they're super, super good friends.
Yeah. One of these days, they will run into each other, and I'm gonna get a rise out of one of them. I promise.
It's happened, but I got to thank you, Adam, for pointing these guys out, because when I created the Masters, the whole idea was to show that the old guys can still enjoy this and have some fun at it, and it's really showcased that and really picked it up. So it's
absolutely. I mean, and some of these Masters drivers, their I ratings are 5,000-6,000. I mean, they're way up there.
Yep.
Yeah, you can still get it done and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Both Antonio Amani, I think, are 5 or 6K. Jeff
Yeah.
Richer.
Yeah.
yep.
Hasn't been doing as well in the Weekend Warriors, but he's a super quick driver. I battled with him in the official series a lot, and he's always at the front. So
Yeah.
and then Tom and Brad as
Yeah.
well, both very good drivers.
Yeah, and it said it starts at 60 years old, and some of those guys are well past 60. So,
Mhm.
all right, what do we got coming up this week? Where we at?
So Formula V's are at Oschersleben, and that should be an interesting track there. It's always for the Formula V's, it's always a quest of what can you take flat.
Yeah.
That seems
I can see
that
that.
seems just ridiculous.
Yeah,
So I think like the triple left at Oschersleben in the middle part of the lap might be flat
Yeah.
for them. So that should be should be an interesting test for them.
yeah.
Okay, so what? I'm looking at this track map right now. That is the hardest 90-degree corner I've ever seen. Turn one.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? It's
But
like,
which layout are they doing?
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Do we know the layout?
I don't have that up.
Okay, no, so they're using the Grand Prix layout. So it's not the
Yeah.
90-degree left.
Oh,
the,
geez. Okay.
Because that corner is
There you go.
that corner is dumb.
Yeah,
Like yeah, so it's the slightly more gradual
yeah.
turn one.
Right.
It's still
That's what we
super
did it
difficult though.
before. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
So-
still a very difficult sequence of corners. But yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna.
Well,
That looks like
where
a
we
good
got
one.
the Fords.
Formula Fords are where are we at again? Oh yes, we are at
Zandvoort.
Imola.
Yeah,
Imola, geez. Yes.
Moto version.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that'll be
Extra
that's
chicane.
yeah, the one of the chicanes of all time. Haven't
Yeah.
driven it yet, but I've watched a lap guy video on it, and it I'm not too optimistic on how that'll race.
Yeah,
But Imola,
it's gonna be a tough one.
I love driving Imola. It's very
Yeah.
challenging, especially in that car. But we should have some good races there. I think didn't we have a photo finish last time we were there with who was it? Christian and Yancy, I think.
Maybe,
Might have had
yeah.
a photo
yeah.
finish. So yeah, look for that. I'm not sure how the chicane will help with the photo finish, but yeah, should
Break
be
it
a
up
good
a
race.
little bit, maybe.
I'm looking at this track map now. I did not realize there are 22 damn corners on this track.
Yeah, well, that extra chicane there adds a couple more. So
How many
Yeah,
people are
you
going to
can-
forget about it?
yeah,
I mean, I see.
in the heat of the moment, it's easy to do.
I think there's a huge red wall that goes across the track. So
Yeah.
it's not like a just like the cones.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Somewhere
Yeah.
like Mid Ohio or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if it's just the cones, I would 100% forget and go straight.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can almost guarantee it. But if there's a big red wall in the way, then that might help. With that.
What do you think,
And the
Stevie?
spec Fords, huh?
What do you think?
That's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be
I don't think I'm gonna get to participate this week, but it's gonna be
Oh.
fun. I have a family party coming in this
That's
weekend,
right.
so they're gonna hold me up for some kind of birthday party or something. So.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is
and
the
then
one I'm looking forward to, though. The Spec
yeah.
Fords, Jason.
this could get
Spec
wild.
Fords.
Yeah.
The draft down the main straight is incredible. You pretty much you go into turn one, you spend the whole lap trying to break the draft, and if you don't get over 9/10, person behind you is going to catch you by turn one.
Oh yeah.
It's literally like DRS down the main straight for
Yeah.
for Formula One. Super challenging for all the corners pretty much. Most of the battling will be, or most of the overtake will probably be turn one. You got the super banked corner of turn three, which is always really
It's
fun.
fun. Yep.
To just ascend it around the outside of it. The very tricky shortcut hairpin, which is a first gear corner. One of the only first gear corners
Yeah.
for the SRF.
You
You pretty
almost
much have
stop
to
then.
come to a complete stop.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
the minimum speed is like 45 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So like
Wow.
what, like 20 miles per hour, something like
mile
that.
an hour, 25 mile an hour. Wow.
Yeah, pretty much a
Look out.
standstill. So yeah, we get if we get 40
There are gonna be some
cars or 30
punts.
cars, yeah, lap one
Yeah,
could
there's
get
gonna
a
be some
little
punts.
dicey there. In the strength of field race last night, I might have gone a little deep into that corner just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Keep
it's
that in
looking,
mind.
that's, yeah, I'm super excited to see how this goes. So I don't know the national circuit that well, but I mean, so this final corner, it's banked, right? So basically
Mhm.
from Kumo all the way to Tarzan Bacht,
Mhm.
is
Flat.
is flat out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that's gonna be something.
So yeah, it's
You get a field of 40 spec racer Fords around that track, and it's gonna be something else.
yeah, it's
Yeah, and 40 small for our group, but it's kind of the summer we're a little light, but wait till fall, we kick up to about 50, 55 and
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
look out.
Yep.
All right, we're running a little long. Let's
get
see
Frank
if
in here.
we're let's see if he's still here. Hey, Frank. All right, we're running a little long.
Oh, he's watching us.
There he is.
You got us,
Ran a
Frank?
little long, Frank.
Hey, Frank,
Sorry,
sorry
I'm
about
glad
that.
you stayed with us. I would like to welcome our first guest, the very first guest of the racing line.
Can't hear you.
He's going to be our guinea pig, or I'm sorry, first guest. And appreciate your time, Frank. This gentleman has done wonders for sim racing, the real world racers that come into sim racing or go back and forth. Frank's responsible to get some guys out on track. So without further ado, Mr. Frank Schwartz, Paddock Motorsports. Tell us what you do. Did we lose him?
Uh-oh. Oh, this is great. See, this happens to us all the time.
Oh man.
Try and fix it.
Poor Frank may have been waiting so long for it to.
It timed out on him or no?
Well, while we're watching Frank's beautiful face,
Mhm.
I see a mini back there, a couple minis back there actually,
Yeah.
at least.
Mhm.
Those are pretty cool looking cars. So this is obviously he's going to tell us a little more when he gets in here. So I don't want to.
Yeah,
ask
you
too
saw
much,
that beautiful blue. The beautiful blue one in the
Yeah.
background. That's Trenton Kramer's car.
Awesome. Well, Stevie, what I think we could do right now, take a bit of a break. Obviously, it's up to you. Or we could just keep running. Oh, he's back.
He's
Never
back.
mind.
Here's
You got us,
Frank.
Back
Frank?
with us, Frank?
I'm back.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't
So we just tell us who you are, what you do, Frank.
So Paddock Motorsports just does race car rentals around the country. Right now, we're pretty much east of the Mississippi, but we've got plans to include the western part of the country at some point in the near future.
And if I remember right, you did some sim racing back a couple of years ago and ran a couple of leagues or something.
Yeah, my history with sim racing is pretty long, actually. So I used to do NASCAR Papyrus back in the 90s. And so I got involved in iRacing in the very, very beginning of the whole thing with John Henry and Dave and everybody. And when the original idea came out to have the regions around the world competing against each other, I kind of took a hold of the Michigan region, and we actually had quite a few in-person events. We went go-kart racing, had cookouts, and did all kinds of
neat.
stuff like that. So in that process, I met a lot of great people, and some of them work for iRacing today.
And then you came up a little bit later and a couple of years ago now with a scholarship program to get some sim racer onto the track.
Yeah, so it was pretty popular at the time with some of the console games, PlayStation and everything else, where they were trying to take people from those software games and get them on the track and really wasn't very successful from what I understood. And I always felt like iRacing had a much better opportunity for that. So we got involved very early on once I had sufficient cars to rent to try and figure out, how we're going to scholarship some people. And we really went after women and minorities in the beginning. But we still scholarship quite a few people every year. So.
Yeah, and we got one of our weekend warriors that is very thankful to you. I know Miss Megan Overstreet is the one that's doing pretty good, I hear.
Yes, she is. We're excited. She'll be coming back up to Michigan here in August to have her first real regional race after completing driver school. So
Yeah.
It's interesting as we go around the country that there's so many different driver schools, and they all have a different flavor, quality of teaching, quality of track time, and stuff like that. And the schools in Roebling and the schools at Waterford Hills here in Michigan are, at least from all the schools that I've been to, the top 2 schools in the country. And the one in Michigan is really helpful since it's very close to my house. I get to sleep in my own bed, which is a rarity when you spend a weekend at a racetrack. So
very true.
So I always try to scholarship somebody every April at the school here.
Awesome. Yeah. Your right-hand man, Mr. Trenton Kramer, is a pretty well-known sim racer and now mini driver too.
Yeah, it's funny. You can never imagine how these things are going to kind of turn out. You see the shop in the background here. So I live in Michigan. I live about an hour and 45 minutes from the shop. And as the business grew, I started looking for a place to store some parts and some cars, and I subleased some of the space here. And as I was subleasing it, I kept growing and growing, and eventually the person I was subleasing from moved out, and I kind of moved into the full space. But Trenton was next door, so when we first met, we just talked about cars and stuff, and told him what I was doing, and he was interested, and the rest is history. Now he pretty runs all the mechanical side of things. All those cars that are half put together, that's all his fault.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where the heck did you find that guy? But that makes sense. You just kind of showed up on your doorstep. So
I can't imagine you do this for years and you meet so many people. It's just unusual that you would happen to move into a shop and the guy next door is the guy you get along with the best. So I'm consider myself very lucky and blessed that I ended up here. I could have ended up.
Was Trenton? Yeah, was Trenton sim racing before that, or did you get him into that?
I'm pretty sure he was sim racing before he met me. He was
kind of what I was thinking,
wanting to go racing. What's funny is he knew I raced, obviously, with the race cars, but he didn't realize I've been involved in sim racing probably as long as he's been alive. So
yeah.
So that conversation.
You guys got some questions to pepper him with?
What's that?
I was asking Adam and Jason here if they've got some questions to pepper you with.
So how many motors are you up to, Frank?
How many motors?
Mm-hmm. I heard that you got a couple motors in the shop.
There might be 20 or 30 laying around here in various states of disrepair. There's let's see, there's 9 cars out front, there's close to 20 cars in back, and there's 20 cars inside. So there's about 50 cars at this location. The parts cars have had the motors pulled out, so that's why they're here.
Yep.
And we're in the process now of moving into other classes, so we're getting all different kinds of motors. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I guess go ahead, Adam.
If you've got that many cars around surrounding your your shop there, it is actually a very good thing that you get along with your next door neighbor, huh?
Yeah.
To say the least. But yeah, go ahead. Jason, I think I cut you off there. I'll let you keep asking the questions.
I was just wondering how you got into the racing the minis.
So when I was younger, I grew up in Germany, near a very famous German hill climb. So hill climbs was my first passion.
Gotcha.
And remember as a kid going to see races at Hockenheim. So always wanted to be a race car driver, and my family moved to North Carolina. So then it's like, okay, now NASCAR, right? So Richard Petty, Pete Hamilton was always my hero. Yeah, let's see, how old would I have been back then? So I probably would have been
watch it.
8, 9, 10. Okay.
I said, watch it. I'm older than you, so.
Yeah. So around the age of 8, 9, or 10, if you would have asked me who my favorite race car drivers were, it would have been Pedro Rodriguez and Pete Hamilton. I mean, nobody in the world had those two drivers as their two favorite, but that was me. So NASCAR and sports car racing. And, I always wanted to be a race car driver, but I didn't know how to go about it. And I didn't even know that, it was actually achievable from an average person. And I at the age of 19, I think I saw my first autocross, and a guy got me involved in that. And that's how I found out about the SCCA, and then helped in the very beginning of Improved Touring, which is one of the classes we have. And I bought a BMW 2002 to race. And as I'm putting this together, it came brutally clear that there is no freaking way I'm going to be able to afford to race a BMW. I remember to this day, I had to replace a rocker in the engine. It was like $20, and I thought that was the most expensive thing in the world, right? So I got rid of that car, and I'm looking for something a little less expensive. And there's a car lot near where I live, and in the back they had a Ford Fiesta. And I stopped and talked to them, and they wanted $200 for it, but the motor was broken. And I'm like, that sounds like a lot. And I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how to fix it. He said, well, I've got another lot, and I've got another Fiesta there that the body's all rusted, but the motor's good. I'll sell them both to you for $200. I'm like, it's interesting. I think maybe. And I'm like, but I don't have a tow vehicle or a trailer. He's like, I'll deliver them. And I'm like, okay.
He really wanted you to have those Ford Fiestas.
Well, I lived in an apartment, and the next day the cars were delivered, and the day after that, the apartment manager was knocking on the door and said, you can't leave the car in the parking lot here. So I was pretty lucky. I worked at Dana Corporation, and I'm talking about my problem to some of the guys at the office, and they said, you ought to ask the boss about it. So I went and asked the boss about it, and he's like, yeah, you can build them here, you can store them here. And we had a nice garage with tools and everything else, and Dana even provided me with bearings and air filters. So right off the bat, I got sponsored. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, right? And I put the two cars into one, and it was I used it for my street car in the beginning, and I took it to an autocross. And at that first autocross, somebody came up to me and said, hey, I got a Fiesta at home and the door handle's broken. You don't know where I can get a door handle? And I'm like, I got a parts car. So,
Yeah.
So I actually started a business right from the beginning, selling first generation Ford Fiesta parts. And at one point, we were the largest used Fiesta parts place in the world. We had people from all over the world getting in touch with us and buying parts. And that's how I funded racing in the beginning. And at one time, I had 49 Fiestas, and people called me Fiesta Frank, and
Love it.
that became my email address and everything. And
I remember seeing that.
Yep. And as the years grew on, had small kids. We had a couple of pretty bad accidents at racetracks. I lost 3 friends in 18 months. And with small children at home, I said, you know what? This is a hobby. I've got great insurance. They're supposed to pay, but if I'm gone, I'm going to leave it up to the family to have to fight that. So I quit racing. And that's about the time I really got involved in the papyrus stuff because I had to have that outlet, and then
Hmm.
racing came
Mhm.
along, and I still raced. I think I took a year off, and then my first weekend back, another friend passed away, and then I took several years off. And people would call me from time to time and ask me to drive their cars and help them with suspension setup. So, you know, I didn't completely walk away from it, but it was 3 years of race, 4 years of race, and my oldest son got old enough where he was like, okay, I want to race, and we bought a car together, and that got me back involved. Once the kids were grown, and then this happened. I
Yeah.
bought a Mini Cooper as a daily driver back in 2003, greatest
Mhm.
car I ever owned. And when I decided that I was going to get back in racing, I rented from a friend of mine, Fiesta Frank. I rented from my friend Honda Ron. He was my arch nemesis for a while at the track. He ran CRXs against my Fiestas, but when I decided to start racing again, I started renting from him, and that's when I fell back in love with B-Spec. Uh, I've always liked the low horsepower front wheel drive cars, and so I started looking for Ford Fiestas to race, and I just couldn't find the right deal, the right car. And then a Mini Cooper showed up, and I'm like, well, I've got a street car, I may as well have a Mini Cooper race car. So that was 2017, 2018. I bought my first Mini Cooper. Uh, 2019, I bought a Honda Fit. So I had a Mini and a Honda, and I would rent the Honda and drive the Mini. And then I got rid of the Honda and built a Mini because I got tired of taking two sets of spare parts around to the track. And and then that was 2019. I had two.
Yeah.
2020, I had five, and now we've got 16 race cars.
Wow.
So, what happens now? I mean, what happens in the long term, down the line a little bit, Frank? Or is it does it go into your family? I mean, who wants 16 race cars?
Trenton.
Yeah, there
Friends?
you go.
Trenton.
Yep.
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 So
Yeah,
I mean
that's a good
that's
one.
the plan. My kids are working on their own families right now, and nobody in my family really wants to spend their day working on race cars and having this as their pastime. Uh, all of my kids are interested in cars, and they're all involved in cars, and they all have nice classic cars, but they have one.
Yes. Not 16.
This
Yeah.
just doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
I intend to turn it over. Trenton's probably going to take it over in a few years if things keep going like they're going right now. And I'll still drive, but he's kind of, almost fully taken over everything that's happening in the shop already anyway. So,
Yeah. Good. He's a good one.
yep.
I've got
Frank,
one. Go ahead.
Sure. Go ahead.
I've got one final question for you, Frank, and I think that's it. So obviously, listening to your story, it's pretty crazy. I mean, where you've come from and what you've done. But I mean, if you could go back, I'm sure you get this all the time. If you go back and do it all differently, would there be anything like hindsight being hindsight now? If you've got someone that's wanting to get into kind of what you do, the racing side of things, is there anything you could give like younger people that are trying to do it now?
Yeah. So, if you're asking for advice in getting in racing, I'm sorry, you said it's your last question. You're going to get a couple of sentences and paragraphs out of me.
Okay.
All right. The first one is, if you want to race, go racing. There's this idea today that says that do a track day, do time trials, do all of that kind of stuff, and then move into racing as you get more and more experience. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but that didn't exist in the old days. And, as somebody I'm a better autocrosser than I'm a road racer. I've done track days, I've done road rallies, I've done rally cross, I've done a lot of different automotive motorsports, and they're all different. There's things that are similar between them, but they're not the same. So if you want to go racing, you go to a racing school, and when you get there, your racing skill, your track knowledge, and all of that kind of stuff on a scale of 1 to 10, let's just say it's 0, right? And your speed is a 0. And you go through the school, and as the 2 days of school and your track time, you might end the school with a racecraft of 3 and a speed of 4, right? And then you start racing in the smaller races, and those two things kind of keep moving up together. At some point, you may find out, my talent has tapped out at a 6, but my racecraft can still get to 10, right? Or my racecraft may have stalled and my talent is really good, right? But in general, when you go to a driver school and you start racing, those two things are kind of tied to each other. So let's take, on the other hand, a person who does track days. Okay, you first do your track day, there's like no passing, so you're not looking in your rear view mirrors a lot, right? And oh, by the way, this is the line. It is the perfect line. It is the only line. You need to drive on this line, right? So, and as you get quicker and quicker and a little more skill, then they move you to the intermediate and they let you pass with points on the straightaway. So now you're starting to come out of a corner and look in your mirror and point people by, or you're trying to get around people. And you keep working on this, and then you get in the advanced group and you're like, okay, now I'm ready for road racing, and you go to driver school and your speed is a 7 and your racecraft is 0.
Yeah.
And it's not a good combination, in my opinion. A
Yep.
lot of people are going to argue with me about it. I'm sorry. I don't spend a lot of time driving on the racing line. Why? Because the guy in front of me is on the racing line and I'm trying to get around him, right? And I'm looking in my mirrors 20 times more than any track day person. So it's a wonderful opportunity. If we have people who go to driver school and never race again,
right?
Because they can't handle the speed, they can't handle the closeness of the cars together, and that's safe for them. That's a very mature decision for them to make at the end of the weekend. That's not a failure of character or failure of talent. That's a really mature decision to say, this isn't for me, right? Again, I've had friends pass away from this. So, and in not every situation it was their fault. So go do a track day to make sure you're comfortable with the speed, great. But the idea that you have to do 4 years of track days before you become a racer, in my opinion, is not advice or path that I would give people. And then the second thing, okay, I have a business. I want people to rent race cars from me.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you. Building my own race car and going to driver school was the most stressful and sad thing that had ever happened, because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I missed my first driver school because the car didn't work. And my second driver school, I didn't do all of the sessions because it broke. And my third driver school, it broke again. Back in those days, you had to do 2 driver schools at different tracks in order to get your license. So I missed the first one completely. I didn't do all of it on the second one. I didn't do all of it on the third one. And only by the grace of the instructors who said, hey, this guy has got it. He's got enough talent. I didn't have enough hours to get my competition license, but they gave it to me anyway because I was, reasonable in the seat. And if you're going to go to a driver school and you're going to build a car and take a car, or even if you're going to buy a car that you don't know, you don't understand that you don't have time to work on the car.
That's where I was going with that. Yep.
Anytime, right? And it's worse than that, right? Okay, I'm going to bring a crew with me. They're going to work on the car, but it's your car. They will never fix things without having you involved in the decision process.
Right.
Do we put the new head gasket on? It's, it's going to cost money and all of that kind of stuff. We don't know if the old one's bad. You need to concentrate on learning to drive and learning the safety and learning to be an asset to the other people on the racetrack. And you can't do that if you're thinking about your car. So if you rent a car to go to driver school, odds are it's sorted, it handles properly, it doesn't have any bad handling aspects, and nobody is looking for you to make decisions on what to do to fix the car. I'll adjust tire pressures for drivers in driver school without asking their opinion of it, because I can see the results of the tire wear. I can see them driving in the corner. I know how to adjust the car to make it better for them before they even know to ask for it. Right?
Exactly.
And so those are two things that I would say are a big mistake that people make as they start out in racing. Again, it's my opinion. There's plenty of people who disagree with me. And the third thing is this idea that I'm going to buy a race car, or I'm going to build a race car, or even I'm going to rent a race car and I'm going to go racing. And the first time they go to a racetrack is at driver school. We have so many volunteer positions in road racing that you can learn so many things. You know, if you want to buy a race car, the best place to buy a race car is at the racetrack, because drivers give each other inside information about which car is good and which car isn't good. You don't get that off Facebook Marketplace or any kind of classified ads. In reality, we lose a lot of people who race for a year and then don't race again. And why? And again, I'm pretty opinionated here. Sorry, you asked one question. The money is part of it, but in reality, it's like dating, right? You can say I want to meet somebody who's of a certain age, has a certain type of job.
Hey, babe, stop listening now.
Right? And then you meet that person who meets all of your criteria, and you go on 3 dates, and you're like, this person doesn't work for me.
Right.
I actually didn't fully understand what I needed or wanted. I had to find somebody who kind of showed me that that's not what I want. So a lot of people get involved in racing because they're like, oh God, that guy down the street has a spec Miata in his driveway. And I go down and I talk to him, and he talks to me about how much fun he's having in spec Miata. And I'm like, I want to be, I want to go racing. I want to do this. And he's like, I got a friend who's got a spec Miata for sale, and it's the perfect price. And then you get into that spec Miata, and I'm sorry, I'm not slamming spec Miata drivers, but let's just say you don't like body work. You're probably not in the right spot, right? If you like to work with your hands and fabricate, a B-spec car is not a good choice for you, because
Right.
there's not really much we can do. A GT car has a lot of fabrication that's involved, right? Or if you like the tuning aspect, I don't actually like working on race cars. I like driving them.
Oh yeah.
So I end up in classes that require the lowest amount of maintenance. I'm not stressing the car to the nth degree, because I'm not building motors to exert that last horsepower out of it. There's plenty of people who love that, and that's great. They shouldn't be in B-spec.
Right.
They should be in a different class. So if you don't go to a racetrack and volunteer and talk to people and listen, you are likely to buy the wrong first race car.
Mm-hmm.
So, if racing is what you want to do, come flag. Come stand on a corner and throw flags. I don't know a track in the country that will turn you down if you show up and say, hey, I want to work a corner and flag. They'll probably give you some lunches. Some of them will give you some gas money to get to and from the track. They are going to be so happy to have you there, and you're going to learn through osmosis as to what's going on at the track, what classes are very popular. You can buy the greatest Mustang in the world, but if you show up at a track in, let's say, Audubon Speedway outside of Chicago, you might be the only Mustang there.
Yes.
You're running by yourself in a class.
Yep.
And, maybe that's not what you're interested in, right?
Sure.
So different regions of the country, if you like formula cars and you want to start out in a low horsepower, simple car, Formula V is a great class to do that. But if you live in California, you're not going to find people to race Formula Vs.
Right.
If you're in the Northeast, it's one of the biggest classes, right? But unless you go to the track and see that with your own eyes, you won't know.
Yep.
So, So those are kind of the three things, go to the track before you decide that you're going to be a race car driver and learn, get, a couple of weekends under your belt, listen to people, meet people, rent for school, and, don't necessarily spend all your effort on track days as a shortcut to racing. If you want to race, just race.
Sure.
And do we tell them to go sim racing for a year or two before?
I think I have gotten more, I started sim racing after I had my license. So I might not be a good person to ask that question. If somebody wants to race and they call me up, the first thing I ask them is, where do you live? What's your zip code? Because if you live in Idaho, I don't really know how to give you a path to become a race car driver.
Right.
Sports car, race car driver. There's no tracks around there. And unless you have tremendous vacation, you're not going to be able to take every Friday and Monday off to go race in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
So sim racing is this wonderful opportunity for people who can't get to a racetrack. And it's a wonderful opportunity for people who do go racing. I don't do a lot of public races anymore, but we're running Mid-Ohio this weekend, and Trenton asked me, hey, I saw you on iRacing. Of course, I went and did some refresher laps, right?
Yeah.
So I do that. Is sim racing a path to real world racing? I don't know. I've seen plenty of people who have skill in sim racing, who have skill in real world racing, and I've seen plenty of people who have skill in sim racing who I don't want driving any of my cars. So it's very much like golf and putt-putt. Not to say putt-putt is like not real golf, but if you can putt, it doesn't mean you can do 18 holes. It's a different talent. It's a different skill. There's some similarities between them, but I'm not the quickest sim racer, but I'm competitive on a real racetrack. Then there's other people who are, really quick in sim racing, and they're barely mid-pack on a racetrack, which to me indicates that it's not the same thing. So one doesn't lead to the other. They overlap, right? There's a Venn diagram where there's an overlap, but it's its own thing. Yeah, I think you do it a disservice when you say, hey, sim race first, move into real world racing, right? So that's just my thought. It's not necessarily popular, but that's why, sim racing championships are something that should be celebrated all on their own. They shouldn't necessarily move you into a real race car.
Right.
Well, Frank, I can't thank you enough for.
Did I alienate the whole office group with
No,
that?
no, not at all.
It makes sense to me.
No, I don't ever want to talk to you again, Frank. Nope, never again. No, and I mean, it was great knowledge for anybody that's looking to get into it. Those are things that you never obviously think about, and I wouldn't have thought about if I were to try to get into it. And then obviously, Stevie, you asked a question which was kind of biting at me a little bit too, is the sim racing thing, because we've all watched that movie Gran Turismo, right? Well, how often does that actually happen? And that's one of those things that be realistic about it, but don't.
And his benefit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a way, and to say that you do have guys that do well in sim. They learn the racecraft, they learn what they're doing, and move into real world. And I give you Megan Overstreet for one.
Right.
Trenton right there. Is another one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of what you make of it, I think, and realize your limitations and potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, to show you how tight the two are tied together, I can predict my lap time at a track I've never been to before by running it in iRacing.
Right.
So I'd never been to Watkins Glen before. I pulled out the Jetta. I started iRacing at Watkins Glen in the Jetta. I have a factor. Your factor would be different than my factor, but I have a factor that says if I run a certain lap time in a Jetta, I can use that number and multiply it and predict my lap time at Watkins Glen. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm like running near the track record at Watkins Glen. First time I ever went to Watkins Glen, I broke the track record.
Wow.
98.9% accurate in my lap time.
Crazy.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that says something for the accuracy of iRacing.
It does.
Yeah, and the skill that it does teach that allows, again, there's things that it allows you to move over, right? So if I'm going to look at somebody on a real racetrack or in a sim race, and I want to know how skilled a driver they are, I don't look at their pace. I look at their consistency. And what I mean by that is you got a 10 turns in a typical road circuit, let's just say. Every turn has a braking point when you let off the brakes, where you turn in, where you apex, where you're back on the accelerator, where you track out in terms of the steering wheel. So that means you've got, let's say, 6 variables per turn, 10 turns, that's 60 variables every lap. And a good race driver in a sim or on the real track is going to be able to say those aren't variables. I can actually reproduce it lap after lap after lap after lap, even if my pace is slow, right? So I'll jump into iRacing at Mid-Ohio like I did, and I'll run 15 or 20 laps, and my consistency is there. I'm within 1/10%, even as the tires are wearing, even as I make mistakes or the dogs bark and distract me or whatever else goes on. And I'm looking to do the same thing in the car when I'm racing, because let's face it, I'm an amateur, right? I am never going to be a professional race car driver. I'm an amateur, so my skill level, my talent is already a mile apart from a professional race car driver. But what I can do is I can run a 15-lap race with all the laps within 1/10%. Actually, I can't do that, but let's just say I can run 3 to 5 laps within 1/10% in the middle of a race, and the whole race is grouped very closely. That's going to win me races where pace isn't. And then the second thing I practice with iRacing is I turn on the AI. I set the field to something where I'm equivalent to maybe the third or fourth place car in the group, and then I skip qualifying and I start last. And my question is, can I run the race and work myself through the field without any contact, right? So I'm looking to
It's good practice.
It's my passing, because again, we're all running the same car. So I'm never going to be able to pull out from behind somebody and hit a push to pass button to get around them. I have to think every corner. It's the same car as mine. So, 2 corners back, 3 corners back. I practice my passing. So those are the things that I use iRacing for today as a person who races. I'm on race number 4. This weekend will be race number 403 in my career.
Woo.
Wow. So, yeah. It's another tool in the toolbox for you.
It's a tool, and it's a fun tool. And I enjoy some leagues that I've been in. I've quit many leagues that I've been in as well, because it's not that the leagues are bad or that they're run poorly or the people are wrong, but I'm looking to get something out of the hour that I spend in the car different from what the other people are looking to get out of it. I'm looking to actually make myself a better driver. I really could care less if I'm 3rd or 5th or 15th or whatever. I'm looking to develop whatever talent I have and skill that I have. And it's not good then for me to be running a race with people who are, hey, this is their entertainment for the week. Or for those people who are like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to beat everybody. That's a poor mesh of objectives in terms of the grouping. So it's rare that you find a league where the people are going to have the same objectives you are. And those are the ones that you're going to be the happiest in. So you just got to keep looking and find those people. And I certainly think that there's a lot of people who say that about your league, Stevie. So congratulations on that.
Well, yeah, thanks, Frank. And I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, for being our first guest, the guinea pig, and helping us kick off this. We've run long, but it's been fun, it's been entertaining, and it's been very informative, I think. So to you and to my cohorts here, I really thank you guys for helping kick this thing off.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
It's awesome to have you, Frank. Lots of great information.
Adam, you get a last word in?
Yeah, well, you know me, I like to talk. But no, yeah, Frank, thank you so much for being on. And again, anybody that listens to this or watches this, Frank, I guess, how does someone get a hold of you if they want to rent a race car?
There you go.
Grasspaddock.com is our website. Or you can typically find me on Facebook. My day job, I'm a consultant in the auto industry. I spend a lot of time on conference calls. So people are like, how do you have so much time for social media? I'm like, I'm on a 1 hour conference call where my point is 5 minutes. So 55 minutes, I'm waiting for my time to speak. So I may as well multitask when I'm doing it. So yeah, that's where, or you can always track Trenton down in one of the sim races as well.
There you go.
Yeah. I know you guys have some really great rental cars available, so a good way for people to get started. So, all right, I think with that, we'll have to call this one a night. Appreciate it, guys. Till next week. We'll see you on the other side.